this is blimey, this is weather, isn't it? Biblical flooding scenes in Nottinghamshire, says Robert Jenrick. So we're looking at weather and weather warnings and alerts in place as rivers reach record highs. And this happens at a time when the ground has been so saturated with rain. We just had the wettest winter, haven't we? The wettest December. And people are flooding, and for the second or third time. Sophia, what do we do about this? I mean, everybody wants new homes built. How do we square that circle?
Well, I think the sad thing is that there are things that we can do about it, but they just haven't been done. As you said, these homes have been flooded multiple times. So these are homes that are known to be in the floodplain, known to be in at-risk areas, and known to be near rivers which are likely to flood if the water gets too high. So there are things that can be done, barriers that can be created, storm drains that can be expanded. But unfortunately, that infrastructure has not been in place, so it's happened yet again. And I think for those people living in those areas, they must be asking, how many times is it going to take until we deal with the consequences? It's not something that is unexpected in some ways. We know if a certain amount of rain falls in that area, these areas will flood, and there are things that can be done, but they haven't been done. Well,
I mean, also we've got a situation where the water companies have been pocketing all their profit and not building reservoirs and not building these defences and not sorting out pipes and things like that. It is a national disgrace that they've been able to just go, we didn't want to spend any money on stuff like that, so we gave it to our investors, and by the way, now we need the money, could you give it to us? It's like, honestly, it makes me spit.
I mean, it's appalling because as you would expect me to say this, it's a consequence of privatising water utilities, but it's not just privatising them, it's privatising them and then saying we're going to do the most hands-off regulation possible so that, as you say, not only can they give their profits to their shareholders, they can get massively into debt and give the money that they've borrowed to their shareholders well. Yeah. And not be spending it, as you say, on the infrastructure that keeps us safe, that keeps our families safe, keeps our homes and our communities safe. And that is why we are seeing this kind of flooding. Of course, the other reason why we're seeing this flooding is because we are having milder winters, because the planet is getting hotter, and because we are seeing more extreme weather all over the world. You know, my parents just moved next to a riverbank. I'm not sure if it was the most sensible thing for them to do. Hopefully. It's a lovely home. They've had to do the thing. Have you heard about this? You put a balloon, you blow up a balloon in the loo, so that if there's flooding, at least you won't get the nasty stuff that's down.
A good tip,
it's really clever, isn't it? Well, the point is...
Any old balloon?
Any old balloon, just a normal party balloon. Yeah, just in case anyone is planning to do that, maybe Google it first, because I am not an expert.
But we're going to be talking about flooding later, but yeah, that makes sense, actually. Do you think the Prime Minister should go and visit these places so he knows, instead of just thinks he knows?
I think he should tell the water companies to invest and he should change the regulation. But unfortunately, he's always been a friend of wealthy shareholders rather than a friend of consumers, and that's not going to change, is it?
Sophia?
One interesting thing I think that is very interesting about this reporting is that the headline recently was that London, in Hackney Wick, the canal there had overflowed its banks. Never mind about Nottinghamshire, where there are literally homes underwater, but as soon as it became a London issue, it made the top of the headline charts there.
That's where the reporters live.
And I do think that is interesting that I think the Prime Minister, yes, needs to visit, to get out of London, to see these communities that are half underwater and to realise that this is something that happens year on year, and it only happens once, who knows how many years in London, and then that's when it makes the headlines in the newspapers.
Yeah, I mean, but that, again, is the fault of cutting, newspapers wanting to make profit and cutting their regional reporters down and not having people. So when you think it's London-centric, it's because it is. Because, none of these newspapers have got little, reporters out everywhere doing other jobs, so they have to send people, and it's only when it's important to them that they do that.